Okie Show. Hello and welcome to the podcast that explores the heartland's entertainment industries. I'm Brian and I'm flying solo today. That's right, I've been abandoned by Kelly. She went ahead and had to have that baby. Neil's got family stuff going on because he has a family, boo. And Nick has other things going on. I honestly can't remember what Nick's excuse is. So I'm here by myself facing these two giants of the Oklahoma film community. These two guys have been around in the film industry for God knows how long. I'm pretty sure you guys have been around long before I was ever even on the map in Oklahoma. Not like from birth, but you guys have been active for quite some time. So this is Kenny Pitts, and this is Adam Hampton of Outsiders Productions. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the Okie Show.
It's great to be here.
So we're just going to talk about, being, local giants on a local level. You guys have done all sorts of crazy things. And, I've only named a couple of things, but what are some of the other projects that you guys have done, some of the features that y'all have worked on?
We've started out a couple features, Looking for Hope. We did one called Bowling Alley, When I Find Bin Laden, some of our earlier ones, The Cellar. And then we did the last feature we did was with Outsiders Productions was The Unusual Calling of Charlie Christmas.
That's right.
And we hit Dead Center 2012 and went around the country with that one.
Which you played the lead in, right?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
He's the hero. And then we, after Charlie, we spent a lot of time working on that film and then on the circuit. And then we started on a series, basically a web series, but it's a series, hour-long episodes. We're wrapping up with our fourth episode, season finale, so to speak, now. That's in post. And then we're currently working with the Grand Casino and producing Play It Loud, which is a series that we're shooting for the first season in conjunction with the Red Dirt Relief Fund.
Yeah.
Trying to help support artists and folks in need. And then what we're doing is we're sort of, I'm interviewing these cats, these fantastic Oklahoma musicians, and kind of coming at it from the sort of the journey of a filmmaker and man-child with these musicians and their journey, sort of comparing battle scars a little and kind of talking about the idea of the beauty of the pursuit and the journey and whatnot. So,
yeah.
We're working on that now.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And you guys have done that all while living right here in Oklahoma. Are you guys originally out in Choctaw?
Shawnee and Dale.
Even farther out east. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So is that Pot County?
Yes.
That's where my in-laws live.
Oh, nice.
They call it Pot County. Yeah. It's a beautiful town. I hear the meth is very pure out there.
Great.
Yeah.
It's Breaking Sad.
Yeah. I always thought that Breaking Bad was really, they should have gone a little farther over with their location. It's a little more, I swear somebody's driving around in an RV. But the cool thing about, I love everything that you guys do because, you're born and bred right here in Oklahoma. You have done everything that you're doing right here. And you're doing pretty darn well. Like, you guys are in all sorts of festivals all the time. Like, I feel like if somebody has not heard one of y'all's names, there's something wrong.
Thank you.
So,
well, thank you. It's really cool. I mean, I think it speaks to the community, to be honest, because of course we've been working for a long time, no budget, extremely low budget, but the community is growing, and it's been really interesting to watch it grow and exciting, and then we're able to sort of get cast in other projects, become sort of extend our family and work with other people, and so that part of it's really cool. Is even though we're Outsiders Productions, we feel like we've been able to sort of combine with the community in a lot of ways, and that's exciting.
It's been great to see it grow since 2004, 2005. Entertainment progress. The location we are at right now, I think about it 5 years ago. I mean,
my God,
this booming area of 23rd Street Tower, Pony Boy,
Right? This used to be the ghetto.
Yes, and that's the epitome of art and filmmaking, and it's great that we've been doing it for a while and to grow with it. And it's scary because it's, I don't want to say dog eat dog world, but the growing pains of not competition, because nobody's really in competition with each other, but just I'm trying to think of kind of more metaphors. The tide is rising, but we're all rising together. But the surf is hard to swim in.
Yeah.
But I love growing with all that.
Yeah.
Either do I. He brought me on here.
Yeah.
But it is really cool because I think there's something to be said about sort of the scrappy nature of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are working together and sort of building each other up and building up the community as a group. So that's exciting.
Well, let's go back to like whenever you guys first began, because I feel like in today's climate, the way the Oklahoma City has kind of risen in the ranks of filmmaking, we've kind of gotten used to that structured set of, you've got your above the line and you're below the line and you have your grip trucks and all this kind of stuff, and like there's a humongous budget and all that kind of, and all that whatnot, all that structure. And there's that, but then there's also a grassroots guerrilla style of filmmaking that I see a lot with like the Burns brothers and what they do, and then what you guys do as well. So kind of like take us back to the beginning of Outsiders Productions and how it all got started.
Well, I grew up, I went to Dale. Jason Alexander, who's the other founding member, we came up all the way together from kindergarten. We were college roommates. Never had any sort of a notion of filmmaking, although I went to college for writing, went to Eastern Joliet on a writing scholarship. Kenny actually went to Dale. He's a little bit older than I am, and we never ran around together. He was a long hair. He was one of the...
You had long hair.
He was like
what
a greaser and I was a soch.
Oh, man.
So we didn't run around. But...
we grew up a mile from each other.
Yeah.
But didn't meet until Ada, Oklahoma. We never did.
Oh, man.
Never even held hands.
Not until college. Meet him in college, and we start taking some mass comm classes. I graduate. Jason, for his senior project, wanted to shoot a film. So he had asked me if I would write a script for him, and I agreed, but then I guess I don't know, my ambition got in the way, and I said, well, I'll write it if I can direct it, you produce it and shoot it. So he was
nice.
Cool. Kenny came on, acted in it, was one of the producers, associate producer type. And then we just kind of went from there, man. It was very grassroots. I mean, when I first started learning filmmaking in like advertising classes and shooting, we had to carry around a giant. It was not digital. It was.
Yeah, we were working together on those class projects, and
those like old beta cams and stuff.
It was terrible.
Well, it had three parts. It had the camera, it had the deck, and then it had the other part. Yeah. Analog, baby.
Yeah, it was crazy, but that's what that does. I think, in the beauty of starting off there and sort of really having those humble roots is like it puts a lot of pressure on writing and performing in those really basic things that you can't fix in post if they're not there.
Yeah,
and so whenever you're trying to rile people up and say, hey, come work on this film, maybe the first one or two, they'll be just excited to be making a movie in Dale, but after that, it's like you've got to have some level of quality to try to convince them to do that. Or at least I like to think so.
Yeah.
So the focus changes, and I think that those things, those basic, it's the same thing with a musician, or a guitar player. Like if you can pick up an acoustic guitar and play the song, and you have that basic skill, it's the same, and you don't need all of these effects to try to cover up and mask whatever gaps you might have.
Or gas.
Whatever gas you might have. It's the same thing with filmmaking. You've got to have those basic tools.
Yeah. So what was y'all's first movie that you had the class project with Jason, and then
that was our first feature.
That was your first feature?
Yes.
Was a college project?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It was like, I guess, a post-grad for me. I went back and had to enroll in the class to be a part of it. And
wow.
So I did, and we shot it. It was called, I'm a big Springsteen fan.
Okay.
And so the film is called Thunder Road. Basically, I took the lyrics to Thunder Road and kind of made a movie around it. This guy in a small town that's got to get out. Black and white, sad as hell, like 4 hours long. I mean, I loved it. It was passion, man. But nobody wants to watch that movie.
Right.
We worked hard on that.
Yeah.
That thing. And in fact, it was funny because we were gonna have a screening in Shawnee, hometown, and we got a call from a lawyer out in LA who they were saying they were going to give us they were going to engage some sort of cease and desist.
Was it Robert Mitchum's brother's lawyer?
Somebody related to the original.
On your first movie?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You got the song title from a Robert Mitchum film, Thunder Road.
Yeah.
And so then I stole it from Springsteen, borrowed it, loved it.
Title.
Thunder Road. And then so this guy saw some article in the paper, called Jason up and said, "Hey, nah, you're not using that title." So
That's awesome.
And we were scared. We were like, we had no money.
We could have kept it, but we didn't know. We were young.
Yeah.
Stupid.
And so we changed it.
Stupid.
Yeah. I still don't know anything.
Yeah. But so that was our first, it was like the day of the screening, if I recall.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They let us keep the screening, and then we, that was the first thing. And then we just kind of kept rolling at that level, casting friends and family, keeping it, low-key, no money.
Yeah.
No money. And that shows in our audio and our lighting and our production quality. And, calling whoever's cousin can show up that day and try to learn the lines on the way. But it did build a really good, solid base. Mm-hmm. And it really sort of honed, I think, the camaraderie of Outsiders. And then, of course, we brought Chad Matthews, who we all referred to as Beard because we couldn't remember his name.
Beard.
And he had a beard whenever we first met him.
So we called
That'd be weird if he was squeaky clean. Well,
now
like,
he
He is, yeah.
Beard.
Yeah.
Oh, now he doesn't have a beard?
No,
Man.
He's grown it a little bit,
Yeah.
But and it's just it is a beautiful, to me, the idea of when you get on a set and strangers can become friends. And
Yeah.
if you're already friends and friends become family, working on films is such an uncomfortable proposition. Whenever you're with your buddies, in everyday life.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's grab the kids and let's go to the movies with our friends. Those are always pleasant conditions. You're going to talk about how your week was, or remember the old days back at the frat in college, or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But
while you're enjoying your air-conditioned room.
Well, everything's perfect. And then
Yeah.
it's like, well, honey, the Johnsons are such great people. What friends we have.
You know what they are. I was thinking that as I was sitting right underneath the vent.
Just the best. Just the best. But then it's like you take those same friends and say, all right, let's go get on a set and deal with all of these tribulations and hate each other for a while.
Yeah.
It builds a different type of relationship.
There is like a band of brothers mentality that comes out of working in I call it the shit. Just working in the shit.
Yeah.
You come out of that and you're like, you have a bond that cannot be broken.
It's the best parts, Jesus aside of church camp and athletics, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that, I don't know, man. It's just being in there in the ugly and the sweat, and
Yeah.
and that's where character is tested.
Yeah, absolutely.
On take
Well,
37.
And not to get like too philosophical about it, but I in conversations, my wife and I always have deep philosophical discussions at the end of the night while we're smoking our cigarettes.
Yeah.
Totally. But there's something much more valuable found in the shit, than in the air-conditioned room.
Right.
When your body is not put under any kind of stress, it has no reason to move and no reason to adjust and doesn't know its own limits. But, you don't go to the gym to feel comfy.
Right.
And if you do, or if you don't go to the gym, you just stay skinny.
Right.
You don't end up looking like Mr. Hampton over here.
Yeah. No. Skinny's not yeah. But no, it's true. What good comes without trial?
Yeah.
To me, and I think that's really for a long time. For a long time, that was a big sort of a side effect. That wasn't. I wasn't like, man, I want to go get miserable. It was always the pursuit of the story and whatever.
Yeah.
Sort of opiate that is, but the hard stuff is the good stuff. Mm-hmm. That always was the icing.
We talked about the four of us, Adam, myself, Jason Alexander, and Jed Matthews, as we're on the paper for Outsiders Productions. But there is the extended family over all these years. Jason Garner, Troy Scott, Marcy Price, people you probably may know in the local community. And more than that, our buddy Sean Martin from Ada. I'm just throwing names out there, but there's so many people that have come along that their name isn't on the sign, but they've sacrificed more than they needed to, and we've had more people like that, actors, people, the crew, and outsiders. Our films owe a lot to them just for putting that blood, sweat, and tears and elbow grease.
Well, and there's no other way that you can do super low budget stuff without your community. Like, I feel like that's, at the end of the day, that's the coolest thing about doing these kind of projects as opposed to like the $2 million movie where, you're making decent money and that kind of stuff. Like, there's something much more, there's a value to, your community and your family coming together to work on one single goal, which is making something fun to watch.
It's it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a line you have to be careful of watching or walking, I should say, because it's easy to take advantage, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be awfully easy for everybody to gather back around next Christmas and how about George Bailey again?
Yeah.
And it's like you can't go to
yeah, you can't go to that all the time. Oh, no, the bank's run out of money again. Oh, gee.
Nice.
Starting to feel like it's you, George.
Right. So, there's a little bit of that, but
it's still a wonderful life.
The hope is that you keep growing, and that the reward is worth it for all those involved.
Yeah.
Because we all got different goals out of it.
Yeah. So what are y'all's individual goals? Since you guys have been doing this since, was it 2004?
Basically on paper, Outsiders Productions. But we were talking projects before then. We were working on even smaller class projects.
Yeah.
Adam and I were in a band that played around here, Superheroes in Training.
There you go.
So even before that, but so 2004 was Outsiders' inception.
That's awesome.
I think the goal. I think the easy statement is like, well, I'd like to be able to do this for a living. That's but it's trickier than that. I mean, if that was the goal, then I've been failing pretty miserably for 40 years. There's a spiritual component that it really does. It's compelled, driven to do it.
Yeah.
That's the only way to excuse the lunacy required to shoot with no money for that period of time. But it does get harder. I think, I know that, we were going to discuss families and how are you a husband? How are you a wife? How are you a son? How are you a brother? Father? And still pursuing it.
Yeah.
How do you balance that? And you have to question, like, to what degree is the juice worth the squeeze?
Right.
And for me, of course, it's the growth.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is growth. Like, I want to continue to work on projects. I want them to get bigger and bigger and better and better. And I want to learn to just, it's cliche, I guess, to fail better every time.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely not here to waste my time or anybody else's.
Right.
More than ever.
We need to put that on a shirt. Fail better every single time. Because, truthfully, though, that's what, there's nothing, people have this, negative connotation with failure. And failure, in my mind, failure is so much more important than success because, kind of going back to that gym analogy of, you don't know where your limits are until you hit your limits.
Right.
And, hitting your limits could be called failure, or it could be called learning your limits and learning how to work to the next thing and the next thing.
Right. Well, I think discomfort is valuable. I think we
totally
be like, well, life should be about pleasure and comfort. No.
Yeah.
Life is made in the uncomfortable. Conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we're talking about, whether it's local issues, social problems, local whatever. It's the uncomfortable. That's where we grow.
Yeah.
Nothing in my mind grows when everything's pleasant and easy.
Right.
At least I don't. I get lazy and fat.
Well, they're called growing pains for a reason. You grow.
Totally.
And they hurt.
Yep. And I've seen what happens to the human body. I've watched WALL-E.
That's right. Don't hurt Cameron of you. So yeah, I think that's my goal. I don't know. What are you guys? What's your goal? What are your goals?
Kenny, what's your goal?
My goal is just finding a place to stay still and move the world around me and just make sure my soul is happy.
Yep. It's pretty good. Nothing wrong with that.
Is it?
My goal is to become the richest and the most famous president of the United States. Moving on. No.
What's your goal?
My goal, honestly, my goal is to find joy through the telling of stories and to be able to spread that joy to the people that I love. Like ultimately, at the end of the day, that's for me. That's what it's about. You know, and I love being a part of the storytelling process. I love seeing an audience be moved emotionally or moved to laughter. There's a great joy and there's, you know, not to get too spiritual about it, but I feel like there is a godliness that comes with the spreading of joy. Not happiness. Happiness is different than joy. Joy is something that lasts, that, you know, that there's a price that's paid for it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
As opposed to like the fleeting, shallow nature of happiness.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, you know, we as a society, we become so obsessed with the concept of happiness that, you know, that the universe wants us to be happy. Does it? Does it really?
Right.
Because, you know, happiness today can lead to tomorrow's sorrow. But joy is a different thing. Joy is something that's much deeper in your soul that lasts. So.
I meant everything he said.
Now, everyone, shall we
mine.
bow and pray?
That's great.
Yeah. So, you know, getting kind of on the subject of families and everything, like you guys are homegrown right here and you're still pursuing your dreams, but you also have your day jobs and that kind of thing. So how do you balance the two, like with family life and with film life?
You want to go first on this one?
Sure. I'm more of in a different category than the other rest of the guys in the group because I just got married
Mazel tov.
1 year ago on Sunday. So
Well,
anniversary.
congratulations.
So we don't have kids, so we're newlyweds. So, but the struggles are not real. You know what I mean? Still, they're not as deep as somebody who's been married a while and has a couple kids. But it just, and then I have a 40-hour-a-week job on top of that. So
It's pretty sick.
I can't imagine adding, children to being feeling as busy as I already am. That's just amazing. So I got to give it up to everybody so far. So, getting married, I adopted two dogs. So we have dogs. One of them had surgery yesterday.
You're a dog dad.
That's my stories in the trenches. And Coco has to stay overnight at the vet tonight.
Oh man,
for her ligament surgery. So
that's rough.
you hit me at rough times.
I'll get some flowers. So.
Yeah, she came out of surgery fine. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
But going back to family, to get it even a little deeper, both my parents have passed away. And I think about the things that we're doing, all three of us. And I think about growing up with my parents. My mom passed away when I was 19. My dad passed away when I was 32.
Oh, wow.
And so I think about things. I think about them at their age, the age I am now. And I'm like, they came from such a tradition of, it almost seemed like they never followed their dreams.
Yeah.
It seemed like they just worked and worked and worked.
Yeah.
And, I know they had dreams, and they wanted me to follow my dreams. I remember playing a video game, and we were at the front of Walmart when Walmart used to have video games. And I was about, hey, I'll let this go. And my mom was like, don't let this game stop. You continue this game. And I played for a long time going. But that always sticks in my mind. And things like that she told me to keep on doing.
Yeah.
To follow your dreams, to never give up.
Right.
So, adding back to my family I grew up with, I learned a lot of follow through from my mom and dad, even though they're not around. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Adam, how do you feel like being a parent has kind of had an impact on your filmmaking? Do you still have to?
Oh man.
Because I can tell you from my perspective, like, you know, it's not always sunshine and rainbows telling the wife that I have to be away or, you know, something like that, or we have to spend a certain amount of dollars on gear or whatever.
Right.
You know.
Well, I think we've been separating it a little. I mean, because, you know, before I was a parent, I was a husband. And I met my wife around the same time we started getting into some of the school projects. And, you know, finding her, honestly, like, you know, I was pretty madly in love with her. And I think up to that point, I'd sort of lacked a compass. And once we got together, and we broke up and then got back together and broke up, you know, rinse and repeat for quite some time until we got married. Like I felt like I put my back against a wall a little bit, and I knew, okay, now I want to work on whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing. Up to that point, I'd been stalling, I think. I hadn't really pursued anything. And I was fortunate. You know, I don't know a lot of people who top of my head, who are in a relationship and then they start filmmaking. I know a lot of people who are filmmaking and then somehow to hook a relationship.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
Well, I don't know a lot of folks who are like happy and like, hey, I think I'm going to ruin this.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, so I was very fortunate that it kind of was growing at the same time.
Yeah.
And it made me a terrible husband on occasion because I get fairly obsessive. And I had to learn that I was a terrible husband at times. And sometimes it wasn't my best. It wasn't my best self that I was putting out there, and I had to develop that. And thank God that I did do that before I had kids, because you know, being a dad is about as big as it gets, you know, and every time I leave it hurts. Yeah. But you know, obviously I feel like what I'm doing is worth it, or I wouldn't do that. But I mean, there's a sacrifice in Rough Cut. Episode 4, all of the episodes are sort of building up with Kenny's character, and his on-screen wife is Cassie Alexander. She's Jason Alexander's actual wife, and we don't see a lot of her for the first 3 episodes. He's the only person who's happily married, the filmmakers, and they have a fairly in-depth scene where she's basically telling him, you know, he comes home from filming and she's alone, and they're talking, and she basically, I had taken some conversations that my wife and I had where she basically said, you know, I married you, I knew who you were, and I don't miss you when you're gone anymore. And that's a hell of a thing to be told. Yeah. But you're putting somebody else through that. Yeah. You know, and you can't really choose how they adapt to it. Yeah. Even though I wanted my wife to be like waiting by the door and like happy at every time I had a text between, you know, that change. Yeah. Which, you know, I realized, well, she's living her own life. You know? Yeah. So,
man, I've had that. You know, and the funny thing is, most of the married guys that are in this, honestly, whether it be film or music or any kind of thing in the entertainment industry, like when you're gone, I feel like you always have, at least one time in the relationship, you always have that conversation of the person that you leave saying, I didn't sign up for this. And that's a tough conversation to have.
I was very blessed, man. I hate that word. I was very fortunate. My wife's family, my wife comes from a circus people. So they were,
sorry for laughing, but I wasn't expecting that.
Maybe my phrasing was about
that's awesome.
Her family worked in the circus. She's from Hugo, and her mom worked trapeze. Her grandfather.
That's freaking. Everything. Is your wife Batgirl?
I think she's absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She's a superhero, and her uncle lion tamer. I mean,
oh my God,
they're so larger than life. Yeah, I think any other, for me, my level of asshole. I think any other woman's family would have been like, leave that negligent prick. Yeah. You know, man-child, telling his little stories. Get out of there. Yeah. Beautiful, intelligent, capable woman. You deserve happiness. Not that doughy piece of shit. But her family comes from I mean, they traveled, they sacrificed, it was show business.
Yeah.
And like, especially early on, I think maybe they all hate me now, but especially early on, like, her mom would be like, you know, if he's happy, then he's gonna be better, and that's gonna make him his best self. And if it had been anybody else, for me, because I'm sure she would have left a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. Because I think my wife calls herself a film widow. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if that's a universal term, but I think it's a pretty appropriate term, a film widow. You know, the wife that has to be left behind. And it's interesting because, like, I came from a military family where, you know, dad was TDY a lot, and with the military there's a accountability structure built in where the wives, you know, the military wives, not just wives nowadays, husbands too, like just the spouses, there's a support thing for them. And with filmmaking and pretty much anything in the entertainment industry, that we don't really have that.
Right.
So, like, for me, I feel very fortunate in that, like, you know, it's hard for my wife to complain to any of the other women in my family because she's, you know, her complaint is, oh, he went off to work on a movie.
Why is she from the 30s?
Gosh, she went off.
This is Catherine Hepburn.
Yeah. Have you met her? Yeah, Catherine, she's great. But, you know, the response that she always gets is, yeah, well, my husband went off to war, so... But, you know, I wish there was some kind of a support thing for, you know, the film widows out there, for, you know, the spouses that have to deal with, you know, being left at home, that kind of thing.
Well, do you think, because I've always found it interesting, and I try to deal with it with Kat as well, it's even like with some members of my own family, that, you know, it's hard to get respect.
Yeah.
As a filmmaker or a storyteller, writer, or whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. My old man was, you know, and my dad's been extremely supportive. My old man was out in the garage fixing stuff. Me, I'm going to go write a poem. You know
yeah. I totally had that too.
And it's like, the respect I think that would come, there have been times where it's like, you know, if I had if my second job was changing tires at Walmart, mm-hmm. Then it would be given more respect.
Yeah.
And like understanding than, well, what are you doing out making movies in Oklahoma? And that's interesting. I think that was an interesting place for my wife to develop support for as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when you're not making any money.
Oh, for sure.
Because the excuses to continue to do that can be kind of ridiculous once the sacrifice count gets so high.
Yeah.
You know, so many days away, so many hours gone, so many memories that you weren't a part of.
Yeah, so I can imagine. So how do you deal with that? Like, how does that conversation go? You know, whenever you have to be out filming on a project that may or may not make much money.
Right. Well, you know, one, I want to support. If it's me acting in somebody else's project, I try to support who I can when I can.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And by like, hey, okay, yeah, I'll show up, and, you know, maybe if you can score my gas, cool, I'll come help. Because people did that for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's some sort of a long-term project, hey, we need you to take off 2 weeks from work.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a little tougher.
I've got to kind of balance that out.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Ange, I'm going to do this, but this is what we're getting in return.
Yeah.
One way or the other, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it also, again, it's almost like representative or just evolution from when I met her and said, okay, my back is against the wall now. Now I'm ready to really work and figure out who I am, and like, because I found like my rock, my muse, you know, like my reason.
Yeah.
And, you know, now with 2 kids, 2 amazing children on top of that, it's like, I want to work harder.
Yeah.
But I want to be smarter about it. So like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go give you everything I got, but I'm not going to be super pumped if we're sitting around, you know, jerking off for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, let's shoot.
Did you feel like, because I get a little more, not defensive isn't the right word. I get more protective about my time.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to go out and work on a project, like, I'm super picky nowadays of the people that I donate my time to. Because I do. I work for free every once in a while. And like if it's a friend that needs some help, I'm right there with you, man. Bring all my gear and all that kind of stuff. You know, not charging day rate or kit fee or anything like that. Like, let's make some art. Let's do this. But my time is worth something. As everyone's time that is donated to a project should be respected and you know, not taken advantage of. So for you listeners out there that are wanting to, you know, make projects and you are asking for people to donate their time, understand that yes, they are donating their time, they're volunteering, but that time is worth a lot. Sometimes it means that they're staying, you know, they're giving you the time that they normally would be giving their families and their kids. Those are important things to factor into what you're doing. So basically, I guess what I'm trying to get at is film people, get your shit together when you're shooting. Don't waste time.
Even being married the year that I've been married, not having kids yet, it's interesting because I've, you know, having conversations in the past of sacrifices and things to do with, you know, my married friends when they were married when I wasn't. It's not a game and it's not a tally, but especially if I've been working for free for 3 days in a row, either way, even if I've gotten paid, if I'm working for 3 days in a row on top of another day job, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and so Saturday night is my day off from both of the other jobs, and I want to give that time to my wife. If I had children, I would want to hang out with the children. But from doing all that, sometimes I just want to sleep.
Yeah.
So
hell yeah, man.
I can't imagine, you know, and I can't do that. So I want to spend time with my family, with my wife. Yeah. And so then, you know, you're balancing all that and you're just wore out. And I'm, you know, they have a funny name for me because I'll fall asleep like that because I get tired faster than everybody. But, you know, going back to, I never thought it was a game or a tally, but you realize you've been away for 3 days, a half a week, and you've got to put that time in and hang out.
Well, again, it just goes back to filmmakers. Like, I think whether it's whoever it is, whether it's your cousin, it's your grandma, it's you know Joey's gas station that they're letting you shoot. Like, be prepared. Yeah. Like, I think that's it, and I think us doing it for so long, we certainly were prepared. There were times that we were even 4, 5, 6 years in, we'd have a call time. And we're not ready for these people until 4 hours later, 5 hours later. And they'd be all pissed. And, of course, I'm like in full, you know, auteur mode. Like, I don't care, you know. Yeah. You I haven't been I don't teach you, you know? But it's like, well, dude, you're a brick. He's been there in the alley for 5 hours. Yeah. You know, he's going to go to work. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I've certainly been the wrong, you know, guy. Yeah. But it's like, man, like the prep and being serious about it. Like, that's what I want. Like, if it's too much fun, I don't want to be a part of it. Yeah. You know, it's a little bit like... if it's just party time, like whenever you hit the set and everybody's just hanging instead of working. It, man. Like, I came here to work. I will give you everything I've got. I love that. I love that. It's athletic. You know, and it's like, let's push each other. Let's be the best. And I'll shoot till 7 a.m. and whatever. Yeah. Like, but as long as you're working. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love There's something to like, because I'm always fascinated by the morale on a set, like, you know, the collective psychosis that's happening on a set, because, you know, morale can be affected by, you know, the quality of food or just the fact that there's food at all, you know, and stuff like that. But there is a weird drop in morale that happens, I've noticed, when people are just around. Yeah. You know, we're having a great time. We're hanging out. Are we going to shoot? Oh, I don't know. So anyways, let me tell you about this thing, you know, and we're just chilling, you know, play some poker. But like everybody's morale just like drops because like, what are we doing? Why are we here? Well, there's no purpose to what we're doing here. Right. Like,
and we'll constantly ask, hey, hey, what's going on? And then, oh, this person's doing that. Okay, so we're waiting on that to be done. Yeah. And then kind of we're constantly asking, and you have to ask that question. What I was getting at with that is the person who asked that question comes off as the dick. Oh, you're ruining the fun. Oh, I'm the other person who's working, waiting for the thing gets frustrated. I'm doing this over here. Yeah. So it's just like, but once you get through that moment, hey, the person asking is not being a dick. the person working's not being a dick.
Yeah.
Then you work. Okay, hey, I'm done. And then you work, and then when they're done with that task.
Yeah.
But when you don't ask the question, and then it goes back and forth and nothing's getting done.
Right.
That's kind of when it becomes problematic.
Yeah. Well, and I've found that, like, just on the morale kind of thing, like, it's okay to be d***ing around as long as people know that there's something being done to get the gears moving again. You know what I mean? Because, like, I've been on several situations where, like, we've got a rain delay. We're on a rain delay. But we all understand we're on a rain delay. So, like, we're just hanging out because there's nothing else to do. But we know that we still have a purpose to what we're doing. We're not just, hanging out and d***ing around.
Right. Well, and then there's also the element in terms of being in front of the camera. I mean, if you're acting and you've got a scene that requires anything from you, everybody's got a different process, and I get that and I respect it. But man, like if I've got a heavy scene, I want to be heavy.
Yeah.
Like
you don't want a bunch of people laughing around you and all this stuff.
If you've got a love scene, if you've got a sad scene, if you've got an angry scene, the last thing you want is like cut and somebody has a fart sound. Right. And then we're about to roll again. Like, nah, man, like respect the process. I mean, like we're there for the journey. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're getting paid for it, maybe you're not, but you should be there for the journey. Yeah. At least at a certain level. I mean, I guess you can be mercenary the higher up you go. But like respect the process to me. Yeah. It's a little bit like.
Well, it also just tells me that you don't want to actually be there. Mm-hmm. When somebody is not respecting the process, like what you're talking about, you don't actually care about all this. You say you want to do this for a living, but you don't. Right. Because you're proving it to me that you don't right now. Like I see that a lot, especially with, young people that haven't worked their first 12-hour day yet.
That's it.
Well,
everybody wants to, not everybody, lots of people don't give a f*** about it. That do, oh yeah, I want to come, oh you make movies, yeah, let me come, all right, sure. Yeah. Show up this day, carry a bunch of these boxes, and guess what? You're not the star, and you're not the director. Mm-hmm. You're not getting to point and tell anybody what to do. You're carrying these.
This is boring.
Yeah. And now come back tomorrow at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and do it all over again. Yeah.
I mean,
survival of the fittest, bitch.
Man, we're so tough.
Yeah.
But there's a spirit, man. It's a very, to me, like and I've said this so many times, but like my greatest influence as a filmmaker, I was my high school basketball coach. And that guy, I love him. He was mean, but it was never compromised. It was never subtle. It was like there was times we'd come home from a game. I remember one time we came home from a game we'd been beat, and man, he wanted us on the floor, and we were running after the game. And it's like school the next day, that type of stuff. He was driven. He was in love with it. Yeah. And he was in love with the temple of basketball. You know what I mean? Like the church of basketball. You weren't wearing a baseball cap on the floor. That was disrespectful to the game. I mean, like, it's almost silly.
That's cool, though.
It's a little silly. He was a lot like Gene Hackman from Hoosiers. I love the man. In fact, since I graduated, he's like softened up and he's nice and like drinking beers. I'm like, no, I need you to tell me I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I need you to
yell at me again.
But it's like that level of respect for the process. It's church. In a sense, and that's what I kind of get off on. Like I love taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. And whenever there's a cost, I think you either stop doing it or you take it more seriously. And that's what my children and my wife have done. That's like there's a cost, and I'm aware of it, and I pay it. But like I'm pushing, and I hope my kids see determination. I hope they see sacrifice. I hope they see their old man, writing when they fall asleep and still at the computer when they wake up, and they think, well, Dad's working. Yeah. And that's something my wife has instilled in them, because it'd be easy if she was a prick to be like, well, Dad's off playing Tarzan again.
He's making his videos.
Right. His little movies.
That's my favorite thing, which I'm sure you guys have had the family Thanksgiving, where, Grandma turns to you and, so, how's your videos doing?
It's little movies.
It's not videos, Grandma. We're making movies.
Little movies is what gets me. Little movies.
Yeah, your little movies. Yeah, it's always just patronizing enough.
Or they'll bring up somebody else in the same community who might got a little bigger plug than you.
Well, Rhett's living in California now, and I hear he was in some big movie. When are you going to move out to California and get big, Adam?
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's it's funny how that works.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I mean, like, the thing that I constantly have to remind myself of this is that my journey is my journey, your journey is your journey. And I love the quote. I don't know if it's from the Bible or if it's from somewhere else, but envy is the thief of joy. You know, like, or comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. And because, like, we're all on our own path. And it's so true. Comparison is the thief of joy. And it's also very, very, it's interesting that when you're looking at everybody else and like how you're doing compared to how they're doing and like making sure that you're doing better than them, it's very self-centered when you're paying attention to everybody else, right. You know? But it's almost the opposite whenever you are just paying attention to yourself, right. You know, and going on your own path and letting everybody else be on their own path and leaving them the alone, right. You know, and not judging them or not, you know, being envious of them, right. You know.
Well, and then the comparison is unfair. Yeah. And not to go political, and we won't, but one side will always post a picture that's the best example of their side compared to the worst example of the other side.
Yeah.
And both sides do that. Yeah. And that's kind of what you do. You're looking at yourself, oh man, I look like a piece of crap right there, but this person's a genius right here. Right. You just can't do that. Yeah. If there's no enemy within, the enemy out there will never win.
Yeah. Well, you can't be too hard on yourself.
African proverb. I didn't make that up.
It's like a calendar or something.
Well, there's like a funny happy medium that you have to reach of like, you can't be too hard on yourself of like, well, this guy's doing better than me. No, everything. I'm going to go work at Blockbuster again. Oh, Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore. I'm doomed. I was realizing that as I was going down that path. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a very old-fashioned sentence.
We caused it, you know.
Yeah.
In Charlie
Christmas.
It's
all y'all's faults.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always sort of fallen on the other side. Like, I've got a pretty healthy sense of self-loathing.
Yeah.
That compels me. It's like that. It's, you know.
I feel like everybody in the creative world kind of has at least a little bit of self-loathing.
Yeah. Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
I think it's healthy.
I do too, honestly.
It's healthy. I mean,
yeah. Don't be suicidal. But
well, I mean,
if this script doesn't get accepted by Paramount, this is it. I'm walking off into the sea.
I'm going to Blockbuster. Well, but you know, it's kind of like I don't trust anyone who says they don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't have any regrets. Well, you should.
Yeah.
Because you've screwed somebody over somewhere.
Yeah. And obviously you didn't learn from it.
Yeah. And it's like you've given yourself congratulations, but like maybe wish you hadn't.
Yeah.
That's kind of regret. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Or with some people's misspelled tattoos, ragrets.
But I don't know. It's interesting. I think if you are, and I think also if you're too busy looking at other people, and I mean I'm guilty of it as anybody, but I think then you're not either looking at yourself or you're not looking at the work. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're not looking at your project. You're not looking at your script. Yeah. You're not writing someone else's script. If you are, you're in the wrong chair.
Right.
You're writing your script. You're doing your story. And I don't know. I think it's tough to avoid with social media. I think in the way it's
totally.
It's tied in as a necessary component to the survival of independent filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
If there wasn't MySpace and then Facebook and then whatever, you know, then outside we would have stopped. We would have died because when we were started and we're going around trying to do casting calls, we were like hanging out, you know, paper at grocery stores.
Nice.
We were like old school, old school band type stuff.
There you go.
And we wouldn't have. You can't thrive that way. And the contacts that we made and the alliances and the information that you're able to obtain on social media, like it's really beneficial. But then it's also it can be poisonous. You can get drawn into comparison. And there's a lot of ugly out there. You know, it's tough to avoid, but you have to.
Yeah. Well, and I've just found that like. You know, half the reason why this podcast became a thing was because I felt like there were too many talented people not getting the attention on them that I felt like they deserved. And like I felt a very And part of the reason why I felt that was because I was seeing a lot of people that I felt did not deserve it getting a lot of spotlight and trying to suck it all up and everything. And part of that may be a comparison being the thief of my joy at that time. But there's something to be said about lifting other people up to success and as opposed to lifting yourself up to success, Like, one may be faster, but one lasts longer, is to take the slow and steady route.
Right.
So.
Well, you see that. I mean, you can see that, I think, with experience and a little bit of self-awareness if you go to a film festival.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one place if you want to go, this sounds like it's on the negative tip, but if you want to go figure out which filmmakers are assholes, go check them out at a film festival.
Totally.
And watch them during a Q&A.
Yeah.
Watch the director who takes all the credit for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the actor who doesn't listen when other people are talking. Watch this or that, and then you'll see people who are humble, people who are aware how fortunate they are to have surrounded themselves with talent.
Yeah.
And watch those directors speak and those actors talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great way. It's a hell of a way. One way to test character is to put someone in a ditch and work hard and be sweaty and tired and be 14 hours in. Another way to test character is throw a spotlight on them and give them some applause.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll very quickly determine, what kind of person they are.
Yep. I feel like people show their truest colors whenever they have the spotlight on them.
McKinney's a giant.
What a dick.
Yeah.
This guy.
Step back. So thanks
Everyone,
for coming to the show.
Welcome to the Kinney Show.
Yeah. What's interesting about the rising tides aspect, what we were getting at, it's how even the people who don't help with the rising tides will say that. And then what amazes me is sometimes a lack of contact. Like, hey, reach out to me and I'll do this. You don't owe me anything and I didn't expect that, but thanks for telling me that. And then you reach out and then it's crickets.
Yeah.
You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything, but even a no?
Yeah.
Just
giving me a no?
All the time, or just when you call. Like...
Crickets all around. The person was a cricket.
Kenny has befriended a cricket.
It was a weird place.
Yeah. Not your best joke.
We called him and it's cricket. Never mind, man.
Hello?
But just the lack of respect by lack of contact.
Yeah.
That seems to happen a lot by people who love to know it all too. Mm-hmm. Going back to what you said with the spotlight, people who you meet at those places, they'll love to tell you 30 minutes about themselves.
Yeah.
And they'll love to tell you, hey, send me a message. I'd love to talk. And no, they really did like to talk.
And then when it comes down to brass tacks, there's no call, no show, AWOL. Yeah. And for me, I experience that every once in a while. And to me, it's just like, okay, well, it's an enthusiast as opposed to a professional. So answer your phone calls, listeners. Whenever I call you, you better answer.
For the love of God, please listen.
I need someone to talk to. Well, we're gonna wrap it up in just a little bit, but I want you guys to let's go back to the outsiders, and I just thought that it'd be fun to just kind of open up the table to some fun anecdotes of your time making movies together over the years.
Oh goodness!
So, what's some crazy times you guys have had?
We've had quite a few.
Lots of shenanigans.
Yeah. So many thoughts are going through my head right now. What about?
Well, there's so many scenes in Rough Cuts that whenever I watched it, I was like, "That's definitely based on a real conversation."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a great scene in Rough Cut, and I want to know. I can't remember who it was that performed this scene, but it's a very long monologue of your characters go and see this speaker. Right. And who is it that performed the monologue?
Shane Joseph. Pete Hounslow.
Pete Hounslow, yeah. And he did a fantastic job. It stole the movie for me, that whole scene, because not just because of his performance, but what he was saying. Which, can you give the listeners who have not seen Rough Cut yet, what exactly is that scene all about?
Well, Rough Cut's pretty autobiographical. in regards to some no-budget filmmakers in Oklahoma who decide they're going to make they're getting the band back together. They're going to make their third film. Their first film was a success. The second film was a total failure because the director is a drunk and they just fell apart. And then this is them trying to get together for their third and possibly final film. And the idea of the rough cut came from, we'd finished Charlie. We'd spent a lot of years working on it, and I just gotten our asses kicked making it. And I had decided I was going to quit. The romance was dead. I was going to quit filmmaking. And I wrote myself a letter. And basically I was telling myself what a loser you are. You haven't made it. You're a joke. You've got to give this up. You're just a piece of shit and you're a laughing stock. And I was brutal to myself. And then, I maybe sobered up, and a few days later I took it and I read it, and I was like, God, I'm hurting my feelings right now. And then I thought, well, no, I'm taking that. And so I took that as the basis for the speech the guy gives. So basically, in the pilot episode, the two characters, the producer and the writer-director, they go to this speaker, and they're going to listen to this Hollywood, know-it-all, tell them how to write the perfect script and sell it and all this stuff. And the guy kind of has a breakdown on stage and tells them that, and they're in Oklahoma, none of you are going to make it. This is a joke.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about you.
Was it the Oklahoma 10?
Yeah,
which
Paige Tudyk.
Paige Tudyk has been on the show plenty of times.
I love her.
She's great.
And she, so he, you're a Oklahoma 10, you're an LA 4.
Yeah.
But that was kind of where that came from. It's like, it comes from a really dark place.
Yeah.
Humor comes to pain plus time.
Yeah. And it's so brutally honest. Like, I was howling during that scene because, like, I've said these words to myself.
Well, I'm excited for you to see episode 4 because it does. I mean, the climax is in similar fashion is this Kenny and Cassie Alexander, where they're talking about the cost and the sacrifice, and he's got a child in the film, and it's kind of the first time though, like, she's in every episode that I recall, but always a very small role. And then we realized, this is a character who has her own life. So hopefully it's got the same. It's not nearly as funny, the scene, but
yeah,
it resonates as well. And hopefully, like I always kind of hoped that, like, when I was very tentative when my wife read it, I was looking forward to any other spouses that watch it and be like, yeah, that's my support group.
Yeah.
That's it. So, I don't know. Do you have any other stories?
I can take it really not as deep as that. And
that wasn't really a fun anecdote.
Yeah, here's a fun one. And during Charlie Christmas, we were doing some montage scenes of Charlie training before he becomes the superhero vigilante. And one of the things you think of as the storyline, you don't think of in the ways you shoot the scene in order. So we were shooting some scenes. We have lunch. His mom brings a lot of hot dogs for lunch. And you don't think about... I didn't think about it. The next scene was a running scene.
Oh, no!
Yeah, the Rocky scene. I was thinking, okay, there's a story. Hey, we're shooting this scene. Here's lunch. And then my next scene, I was not thinking about working out at all.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of running.
Oh, man.
And
was it just a brass band?
So that, talking about taking it circular, I improv'd the vomit scene.
Oh, that's not, wow.
That wasn't
real.
written.
We're
Nice.
driving down this old road in the cloud, camera out the window. Kenny's like running. And I can't remember if you said anything.
I said, keep rolling. I don't keep rolling because I wanted it.
I'm going to blow.
Keep rolling, but he's like trying to like mouth it like Jeff Dunham or whatever. And so we can't see his little keep going. He starts projectile vomiting.
Oh, man.
And,
that's awesome.
The guy running the camera was like, oh, and he like looked away. And I was like, oh no, we missed the shot. And I was like, yeah, Kenny, can you do it again? He's like, yeah.
Oh, man.
So
That's awesome.
And, ran it again. It was absolutely repulsive.
This is an actor dedicated to his craft. Oh, man.
Yeah. been fortunate. I mean, the experience has been pretty magical. Like shooting in it, everybody that shoots in Small Town has the same experiences. You know, if you're the family starting to gather, people starting to drive by slowly and watch.
Yeah.
In the middle of a tank. What are y'all doing? You know,
Oh, yeah.
that type of stuff.
Y'all making a movie?
Yeah.
Yep.
People honking, hey guys.
Yeah.
Keep on honking. They circle back around, honk. You know.
It's the best. My favorite. The one time we were shooting just a short film. It was like with Bill. I almost said Bill Burr. You know, Bill Burr. Yeah. What's his name? Old fella, deep voice. Bill something. It'll come to me later, but Bill. Yeah, Lori Cummings was on this, and like a handful of other actors, and we're shooting in the middle of freaking nowhere, and we're in the middle of this long emotional scene, and this plane flies overhead, and it flies low. And it literally, I can hear it coming from like a billion miles away. So I'm like, all right, we got to hold for this plane. And you can hear him slow down.
So are you running audio or are you acting in this?
No, I was rolling audio. And so I'm doing both boom and mixing. Yeah. And this plane literally would circle around the set with this guy hanging out the window. The only thing's missing is him going, hey! Y'all making a movie?
You're probably by his like marijuana situation.
Yeah. Oh, shit! It wasn't me!
It's not mine. Whatever you find.
Whatever you find out there, that body, that's not, I don't know who that is.
Well, that's part of the beauty of shooting here.
Yeah, the bodies. Yeah.
Well, the bodies.
And the secret pot fields.
And yeah.
I shot at Draper once. Yeah, I know.
The poppy fields.
Yeah.
Pot fields. Oh, I think the poppy.
But that poppy fields was in, yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's the name of my next movie. The poppy fields of Oklahoma.
But that's part of the cool thing about shooting here is like we're surrounded by so many characters, and a lot of folks are enamored.
Yeah.
As long as you're not a relative.
The magic is still
You're not
there.
related to them, they're enamored. And it's like,
Yeah.
And it's still really cool. People, and there's a cool energy to like shooting at a place that's not been shot at.
Yeah.
Location and people.
As long as they're like not the janitor of the place you're shooting at, and they need to clean the floors,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you're going
yeah.
a few extra takes longer than you wanted. I got to,
Did we do that?
yeah, a couple bars. I got to clean now. Okay,
I
give
gotta
us a little
wax.
bit.
It is 3 a.m.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing, boy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're about to wrap it up, but what's something that you would like to say to the young filmmaker that wants to, that may doubt whether or not they can actually pursue their dreams right here in Oklahoma? What would you say to somebody like that?
First of all, get involved. Get involved any way you can, as long as you feel comfortable with the people you're working with, and figure out exactly what you want to do within the field. There's so many positions, and don't just jump in because you're ready to jump in. I mean, think about it. Think about it. Go one day, see if you want to come back, but always be honest and never flake on anybody, because that'll ruin you in the business. I think in any town. In this town, it's a lot smaller than LA.
It's small.
And
Word travels fast.
we protect each other with people who may, be an a-hole to the story, to the project, to other people.
Yeah.
And you just got to hold on to your word if you're going to agree to do something. And if you can't, be honest from the moment you can't do it anymore. Just honesty.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Great. I mean, it can be done. Like that's what I would say is it can be done. And but if you're going to do it right and be humble and be true to yourself and to what you know is right. And if not, then stay out of the way of the other people that are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hungry people.
That's true. That's great. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Adam Hampton, Kenny Pitts. Where can we find more information about Outsiders Productions?
Well, you can go to, we keep it simple. We have Outsiders Productions Facebook. Check us out there. Follow us, promoting there. The current thing we have, Play It Loud. Check out playitloudshow.com. That's through the Grand's website. We have our 4 artists for our first season out there now. By the time this plays, we'll have our first Play It Loud live showing where we have
That's great.
The live show at the Grand. That's August 25th. So by the time this comes out. And then stay tuned for once we get episode 4 of Rough Cut done, then we're going to release them all at once.
Yes.
So we've been holding on to that for a while, doing it the no budget, low budget, no filmmaking. It's hard to balance that. And that's coming soon. Thank you guys. The extended Outsiders Productions family for waiting for that to be done. Everybody's been working behind the scenes. And so just thank you for your patience. And fans, we have fans, don't we?
You guys have fans.
It's coming soon, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having us, man.
Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you, Brian.
And thank you guys for watching or listening, or watching, one of those. You guys, one of your six senses are working right now. Anyways, if you like what you have seen or heard or felt in your brain hole, and you'd like to be involved or you'd like to see more of this kind of stuff, go to patreon.com/Okie Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Okie Show. Or, of course, you can go to the website, okieshowshow.com, and look at some of our sketches and all sorts of crazy stuff that we've got. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming on to the show, and we'll see you guys in the next 2 weeks. All right. Bye.
Okie Show.